Well, he's gonna want to know why we didn't do it. So
Yeah, I mean, I'll cut out all the bad stuff. Oh, you know what else was cool? You know that that site that I used to get music for YouTube and stuff?
yeah,
I found out we could use Papa Roach on there.
Papa Roach.
Yeah.
So that's our new intro, right?
That's what I thought, because I was like, Last Resort? Yeah. I remember this being a banger.
This is my last yeah.
Big B, Little Anger, because Little Angry, that's the bitchiest fucking song I've ever listened to.
No.
But the last time I literally listened to it, I was in 5th grade. But that was the coolest song ever, because he's like, you know, I don't give a fuck if I cut my arms bleeding. And then you start listening to him like this guy's just whining about trying to kill himself. And then he's like, I'm running and I'm crying. And I'm like, I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, when's the last time you saw someone run and cry?
Yeah, you'd run out of breath pretty quick.
Yeah. But then he gets all breath and he's like, I can't go. And I'm like, I'm out of breath trying to do that thing.
What is it?
I can't
I'm
go
trying to
on.
remember the lyrics.
Cut my life into
There.
pieces.
This is my... Yeah, I guess it is kind of whiny. And then I didn't realize it.
Would you even care if I die bleeding?
I wonder how many of those songs from back then are like that, though.
Yeah.
Like,
I've become so numb, I can't feel you there.
we thought those were so fucking
He was like, I don't want to
hardcore.
listen to country music because that's fucking lame. Bunch of sissies crying about like how they... Like, man, I just love God and America, and I'd fight you if you sully my wife's name. And I'm like, nah, that's lame. I want some tough shit. Like, cut my life into pieces.
I'm crying and running.
Yeah. I'm running and I'm crying.
Don't know why. All right, well, that changed everything I thought about my childhood. I was like, yeah, I was pretty fucking angsty and like...
I have been singing that song all week, though, because when I get stuck on something, I'm on
Yeah,
it.
that's how you are. Yeah. I mean, I guess we could just spend the next couple hours listening to that instead of recording this shit.
Might get more viewers.
Go ahead, Kay.
Go ahead and start that shit.
Let's be clear about this, guys. We're not going to agree on everything.
Like you got stuck on the same note.
How was your day? How the fuck was your day? I'm the machine!
You might be a redneck.
A bunch of men talking about barbecue grill.
Animals must be more idiots. More idiots. Potatoes. Since you love me so much.
What's the deal with airplanes?
What I would suggest is just start.
Oh, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Opening the Mic. It is a weekly podcast following two aspiring comedians on our journey from open micers to real deal comedians. So if you're trying to be a stand-up comedian and you want to see what it's like when a couple of schlubs make the trudge from being people who suck fucking ass to maybe one day getting booked, well, then this is the place for you, motherfuckers.
Yeah, we'll probably find some guys who stop sucking ass and follow their journey because it doesn't look like we're ever going to stop.
We're gonna fucking stop.
Freaking Sam Elliott. Fucking girl shoes.
Fucking. So, I don't know how I got on it. I was watching. There was some Oscar movie coming up with Benedict Cumberbatch in it, and there was an interview. He was on there with Mark Maron, and he was just fucking pissed about this movie because he's like, "All these guys in their fucking woolly fucking chaps. It's supposed to be about cowboys, and it's just homosexual fucking overtones." I just
How
said,
can someone be such a staunch liberal? Because I don't know if you guys know that, but Sam Elliott is like diehard liberal, like super anti-gun, apparently, from reports I've heard. I mean, I've never spoke to the guy because he won't return my calls, but he's supposedly like pro-abortion, anti-gun, like all super liberal views, and then to get upset about fuzzy chaps, it's like, well, I mean, pick a lane, you know?
I think he just was like, he's like, I've met fucking cowboys and they have families. They're not just out there in their woolly fucking chaps or their leather fucking chaps. And I just started doing that voice. I'm like, it's so much fun. Course, the fucking banquet. Because if you listen to him, it's every other word. I'm like, this is like, it's like me. Because he cusses a lot.
If it makes you like, that's a little much. He's got a problem.
Fucking.
Fucking.
He just says, sometimes I just imagine. He's just sitting there with that woolly mustache and he's just like, fucking, and he always has his fucking hands up here, and they're always like, it's like a fish swimming upstream, like a salmon trying to fucking find its way back to its fucking eggs.
What if this episode was just an hour?
Butchering Sam Elliott's accent.
You'll probably get more viewers.
Yeah.
To the 6 of you watching, we appreciate you sticking through it.
What the fuck is up?
Yeah.
Fucking fuckers.
I hope we don't offend both of you. That's
Oh, goddamn. All right.
All right, so it's been a while since we recorded any. We kind of do these in banks. For those of you guys don't know what's going on, we do, we'll record several episodes at a time, and then we'll fuck off for a couple months and not record anything, and then we'll come back and do some more recording. So
the last time we talked, I think we were talking about we've done the competition. We tried a few new venues. So since then, we've tried several new venues.
Yep.
We've had all kinds of stuff going on. We've done.
I think the last thing, the last outside the pocket thing we'd done was me doing LOL and then us talking about that club shutting down, which feels like an eternity ago. I guess it wasn't that long ago, but it feels like forever ago. So since then, we have done together. We've done two shows outside of our like home court or whatever. Sorry, and you've done one. I don't know if we talked about that or not. Your Richmond set.
Oh no, that was fucking terrible.
Yeah.
So I've done a few little open mics because where I travel for work, I've stopped in at other places. And it was my fear, too. I was always afraid of, like, first off, to go to look up open mics. A lot of times you just have to search for it on Google, and then you might find a Facebook ad that says, Tipsy's, pizzeria is doing a fucking open mic on Tuesday. And you've got to kind of look around and see where you can find open mics, because a lot of them out in, like, the D.C. area and, up in Baltimore and stuff that I was looking for, you had to, like, send in a headshot. Excuse me, too much Topo Chico.
It's a bad drink to have for a podcast.
It's a bad idea that every time we go to have a podcast, like, we just want to get smashed on some like really carbonated alcohol. I'm like, yeah, fucking right out here. fucking right. So went out there and I found a bunch of places, a couple little breweries. So one I was in Richmond, Virginia, and there was a brewery out there that had an open mic, and I get there super early because like I've got to work the next day. And I'm like, I'm just going to get in there. I'm just going to do my 5 and roll. So I sign up very first. I'm the first one there. They'll put me dead fucking last. And that's just something they do pretty routinely just because they don't know you. They don't know if you're going to be funny. So they drop your ass.
But isn't going last like an honor?
No,
I'm not talking about there. Obviously, they were fucking you. But like being the last guy, the closer, the headliner, like that's the thing you want most of the time.
So you want to go last for like a comedy show where people have paid and you are the closer.
Yeah.
And that's when we're talking 4 comedians. You got a guest spot, you got an opener, you got a feature, and then you got the closer, the headliner.
Yep.
That's when you want to go last.
Right.
But when we're talking 30 comedians who fucking suck and who are terrible and they're trying out their hack-ass material, and because a lot of open mics you go to, the audience are comedians at the open mic and the girlfriend or friend that they brought.
Yeah.
So when you're going last, all those other people have left to go hit other mics, or they just bailed to go home, or they're at the bar talking, not paying attention. So when you go last, you start with an audience of 50 people and you dwindle down to 6.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with me.
So along those lines, where do you prefer to go at an open mic? Because a lot of people, I'm assuming, who've never done this and are thinking about doing this, you guys out there, like, being the headliner, the last person to go up, seems like an esteemed position. It seems like something you'd want to do. Like, if I ever have the opportunity, I want to go last because that means I'm the best. That's true on, like, shows like you were talking about. But, like, an open mic where there's 20 or 30 comedians, the further down the list you get, the worse it gets. I don't think you want to go first, though.
I think
that's the bullet spot.
Yeah. I think if you've got a good host, taking the bullet's not a bad call. So, like, if the host is good and they got a few opening jokes that are really funny and the crowd's already receptive, going first is fine. I think that's not too bad. If the host isn't, or if the crowd's not warmed up yet, then yeah, first is tough because it might suck. But the further back in the rotation you go, depending on how bad the comics are and how bad the night is, like if it's a bunch of really bad open micers who, just, and the crowd's not into it, you might walk, a lot of people might get tired and leave. So for me, if there's, say, 20 open micers, I'd want to go right dead set in the middle.
Yeah, because 8 to 10 is where I try to sign up.
I wouldn't mind going first, but my nerves make it to where like I need a minute to settle in because I'm always like I'm always late everywhere I go. Yeah. I'm 10 to 15 minutes late always.
I think there's something to be said, and that's probably something we'll pick up on further down the road, the further we go with this, but like I think not going first also gives you the benefit of seeing what the crowd's into. Mm-hmm. Like when you've got, 20, 25 minutes and you're going to be doing 5, you can pick which 5 you're going to do because you can see that the guy who went first and second, they were really into like dirty sex jokes or stuff like that's offending people, so you want to avoid certain things. So not going first might be the better call. If you've got a bunch of material, you got to pick out what you want.
And you're like, you can pivot because like if you're not using the open mic for what most
real comedians are using it for, which is to work on something. If you're going in there because you're just wanting to get a spot and you want to do one of your old fives, you're like, okay, well, I could do the sex bit or I could do the church bit, and depending on how they react to the first couple of guys, that might help you decide which lane you want to go down. Like the 2 shows we did, one being probably an hour's drive away, maybe 30, 45 minutes away, and then the other one being a pretty good drive for us. We'll get into how that went, the second one, here in a minute. But
motherfucker,
we did a showcase, which is a true comedy show. It was just comedy. It wasn't a brew or anything like that. It was a dedicated comedy spot. And the host asked us to do, what was it, 8 on the first one? Asked us to do 8. And in a position like that, it feels a lot like an open mic because there's a bunch of comedians. There was, I don't know how many was on that.
And it's local talent too. So, I mean, sometimes you might be in a room with straight killers, and sometimes they might just absolutely suck.
Yeah.
So for me, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm always 15, 20 minutes late everywhere I go. So I need a minute to like calm down and settle in.
Right.
And I'm not trying to like, I'm not in the moment enough to go, okay, I can do my clean bit here because that's what the crowd's receptive to. Mm-hmm. I don't think that far ahead. I'm like, all right, this is the joke that I've got. This is what I'm trying tonight, regardless. If everybody is getting walked as soon as somebody says a curse word, tough shit. That is what I planned tonight, so that's what I'm going to do. Yeah. So when we went to that show at the showcase, they told us we were going on in the middle. I'm like, okay, cool. But I was so nervous because it was one of the first times that I'd been in that area. Mm-hmm. And the material that I planned, I'm like, I don't know if it's going to work here because it might be regional stuff.
Yeah.
And I go up, and everybody is doing really well, but I think the people are not very funny. And I don't want to say the name of the place.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to out anybody, but basically the comedians sucked ass. They were like
there were a couple of guys in there and girls that were like doing pretty good, but there was also several that I was like, how did they get a showcase spot? Of course, not like we had room to talk. We hadn't been up there killing or anything.
And I'm not being rude. I mean, there was one person who had an 8-minute set where they acted out defecating for 8 minutes. No jokes, just the act of defecating for 8 minutes. It was almost like performance art.
Yeah.
And like people were still laughing. And I thought, if they're laughing at this,
they're going to hate you.
They're going to fucking hate me because like I've actually got jokes.
Well, and also the mentality going into that is, we talked about it then, and someone we could bring up here. It kind of, it's not like a very important show. It's not a paid show or anything like that. It's just a showcase. So it's got a very open mic feel. There's a bunch of comedians going up, but you want to, especially, I think, I don't know if it's true everywhere, but I think if it's the first time you're going to a place, you want to bring your hits. You want to bring your top shelf stuff. Like the stuff that you've done the best with, that's what you want to give them the first time you're there so that they invite you back.
Right.
That's kind of my thought process on that. So I wasn't trying anything new. I was doing tried and true, and so were you. And I assume that everyone else was thinking like that. So anytime I go to a showcase like that, especially if it's a comedian that's from the area that I haven't seen before, I'm like, well, this is probably their first time here. So they should be bringing their hits right now. So what you're seeing on stage, it's not like they're trying something new. It's like this is probably their best stuff, which is like, well, if that's your best, like, I don't know. I don't understand how some of those people got their spot on that showcase. But
my thought is like, it's a showcase, so that means like it is going to be local talent, and it's not like these people are going to be 30-year vets who are professionals who are used to playing stadiums. I get that. But at the same time, like, it's not an open mic. So you shouldn't be doing completely new stuff. Like
right.
it's not a closed mic either. There's open mics and then there's mics that are like, it's like an open mic, but you still have to get on a list. Mm-hmm. This was a showcase, meaning, hey, you know a month and a half, 2 months in advance that this show's going to be here. It's 8 minutes. Go ahead and plan. And the goal is to make people laugh.
Yeah.
So when these people were going up, I was like, what in the hell is going on?
It was. But anyway, so you went up before I did.
Yeah, so the person gets up and they do their defecation story and they're acting it out and it's super graphic. And I'm like, and I try not to like talk about the comedians before me. Like sometimes people take that the wrong way. Like you can shit on the host.
Yeah.
Like you can roast the host a little bit, but you don't really want to roast other comedians.
Yeah.
But there was so much tension from what they were doing and not getting laughs about it that I thought I had to hit that person about it. I had to touch on
because you directly followed that.
I directly followed the
so you
defecation
can't just
act.
go up and someone who just acted out shitting for 8 minutes straight.
When someone talks about
like,
shitting,
so here's my dick jokes.
Like buckets of shit, and I'm like, I can't just pretend that didn't happen,
Yeah.
All right, let's back to our regularly scheduled programming. So I made a joke about that, which is always nervous because it's not something you've tried before.
Right.
And when it lands, you're just like, all right.
Nice.
Cause like huge laugh. And I'm like, what? And then that was the theme for this show. I'd never to this day experienced anything like this because the room is kind of crazy. It's like a plywood tunnel.
Yep.
So
it was movie theater-esque.
Yeah.
It was kind of set up the way the seats and everything are set up. It's all facing one direction. It's not like a bar setting or anything like that. It's all seats, movie theater style, facing one direction. It's very narrow and very long. So it was kind of an odd looking room. I think.
But it was very loud, and the people were very generous with their laughter.
Oh yeah, it was such a good room.
To the point where I was like, I was trying to. I speak fast anyways, but I was trying to like hurry because I'm like, I'm gonna go over and I want to get to my closer.
Yep.
But like, I had to pause for. Normally, I'll step on laughs sometimes if I have to get to the next joke. But I'm like, you couldn't because it was so loud that there was no like, you couldn't pretend like the laughs weren't there. It's not one of those situations where you get off and you're like, I couldn't tell if they were laughing. It's like, no, you knew because it was so much louder than the speakers.
It was a roar. Yeah.
Yeah. And they laughed at everything. They were even laughing at setups, which is wild. And then I get off stage and I look at you and I'm just like,
So
follow that bitch.
This happened shortly after you won your competition, which I came in second in. So now I'm already feeling like, okay, I'm going to kind of follow on this guy's coattails, whatever. Oh, I got an invite too, or like, can I go with him? Like, it's that situation. So I see you come off and you absolutely murdered the room. Like people, like actual tears and stuff like I was like, man, this is going to be bad for me. I'm going to have to ride home with this son of a bitch listening to how great he did and how awesome his set was and how like, well, you did good too. Nothing hurts worse than hearing you did good too. It's like, yeah, I'm just throwing you that so you don't cry tonight. And I go and I'm super nervous as soon as he gets off stage, and then there's one in between us, and then I go.
Yeah, there was a couple in between us, and then the one that went before you, I think they'd only ever done one open mic, and the crowd was being very generous with their laughter until this person got up there and completely sucked all the air out of the room. Like,
oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
hardcore bomb.
Yeah, and
which
kudos to him for getting up.
Yeah,
like we're not shitting on being like, oh, you should never do it again. I think it was legitimately one of their very first ones.
This person had jokes. They were in a bad spot because I did well, the person after me did well, and then this person goes up.
Yeah,
and they didn't really have any material. And they're just up there, and then the crowd was like kind of conditioned to like, okay, good sets, and then when they go up there with a not so great set, it really stood out.
So I'm super nervous because now the room's down, and I know he fucking murdered this whole room, and I'm like, great, bitch. Now I got to deal with this stuff. So I'm super nervous. I get up there, and I stumble over my first couple words, like it's my first time here. It's so not nice to be here. I'm like, oh shit, settle your shit down, and let's get to work here. And it was one of those things that anybody who's ever went up, especially from some of your first times going up, time slows down. And I was like, okay, take a breath. Let's get through it. Let's see if we can at least get a few laughs, because I thought it was dead. I thought the room was done. And my first joke hits really hard. It's not even really a joke. It's a setup, basically. It's talking about the way I look. And it landed really hard. And I was like, okay, maybe they're going to be okay. And then I proceeded to fucking obliterate that crowd. Like, I had 7 minutes. We had 8 minutes. I had 7. And I was like, I'll just slow down a little bit and try to get to 8. That was my plan. And I got off stage in 10 minutes and 20-some seconds because I couldn't talk. Every time I would hit a line, it was like long, roaring laughter. It was a small room. It's not a theater or anything. But, like, I was starting to get upset by the end of my set. Yeah. You told me, you're like, I could tell you were starting to get pissed because I couldn't even finish my jokes. Like before I could even get to the punchline, these people wanted to laugh so hard. It was like the easiest thing to ever do on stage. It's like you could go up and say fart pussy and they were like, this is the greatest comedian of all time.
So then we got done and everybody's being super complimentary, shaking their hands, blah, blah, blah. So like we were making jokes too. Like, like, oh, did you guys see the cops? Because apparently, there's been a murder here tonight.
Yeah, we were
that whole thing, and then
we were on our high horse a little.
And we're both from Bristol, so people were calling us the Bristol Boys. Like,
the Bristol Boys killed it tonight. It's like you guys are gonna have to come back. Yeah. Y'all are the Bristol Boys now, and I'm like, okay, well, we're not lovers. So.
Yeah, well, then I still start talking shit because I still feel like I did better. I'm like, yeah, we both murdered, but I murdered a little harder. And then we go outside, and I blame it on the fact that I took off my jacket because we're going to go eat.
Sure, that's what it was.
Yeah, and then a couple goes by, and they're like, oh, my God, you were so funny. And they go straight up to Murphy, and they're just like, this old lady's like sucking your dick, and then she's completely drunk. And then she goes to leave, and the husband goes like, you were good too. And I was like, God damn it. And then she goes, oh, you were the other one. I didn't recognize you without my jacket. I'm like, how about now? And put it back, and I'm like, better, right? She's like, no, still, you were good too. It's like, fuck.
They called you the other one.
The other one.
Fucking loved it.
Yeah.
That was the greatest thing ever. I was like, yeah, suck on that, you belt having bitch. And then you almost got in a fight with a meth head.
Yeah, oh yeah. So that was fun.
We went to tell that story. I mean, it's hilarious. We went to a restaurant right around the corner from the club.
We're trying to smoke, and we're like on a high because like I've never crushed this hard before.
Yep.
And I wasn't even planning on it. I was just gonna go up there, just quick in and out. You weren't even in the mood for it. We got there, we're like, man, I really don't want to be here. It's kind of awkward. And then we get up there and we just fucking
yeah. All of a sudden, the mood gets. Apparently, when you do really well at the thing you came there to do, you feel better about everything.
It's like, wow, all of a sudden I'm on such a rush. We should do this more. We should kill more. Have you thought, why don't we just do that?
You know how sometimes we don't do so well? Let's stop doing that.
Yeah.
Let's just
sometimes we have a set and it's fucking awful. Let's never do that again, right? Let's just fucking only kill.
So we're standing out front. Travis is smoking a cigarette, and this guy walks up. And
he's like, hey, man, you got a light? And I'm like, nah, just fucking...
Here's how conceited I am. Here's how I was like, oh, this guy's coming to compliment us too. He must have been in the crowd.
This dude was like,
hey, and I'm like, yeah, it's me.
He practically had needles sticking out of his fucking teeth. This guy was so high.
I was so hyped for someone else to come up and compliment us. I was like, let's hear what this guy. He's like, you got a light? And I'm like, oh, I am going inside.
Yeah.
Because I knew where it was headed.
As soon as I saw his haircut, I was like, I don't think that was even cut with... Like, did you burn your hair to that
No, because I didn't have a light.
No. He wasted it on his hair. Yeah. But he's like, do you have a light? And I'm like, no, magic. I just fucking, whoa, what's the weirdest thing? All right, we're going to go inside. And he's like, don't worry, I got the door. And you go and you grab the door. And you're not a small human being.
No, I'm a big fat fuck.
So he goes, and he just fucking shoves you out of the way.
Takes my hand, like I have the handle of the door in my hand. He rips it out of my hand and closes it so that he can open it for us.
He's like, there, I got it for you. And we're like, okay, man, cool. And we go and we sit down. And I'm like, my back is facing him. And you get to look at him, and I'm so uncomfortable because like I'm going through every scenario. I'm like, this dude's gonna break out a gun. Probably not. Would have pawned that for meth, but he might break out like a rusty piece of metal, and he might try to shiv me. I'm like, that's a very real possibility, and I can't see it. So I'm trying to like look at your face for concern, and you're watching the guy, and then I just hear fucking silverware like falling over, and then like the wait staff couldn't give any less of an effort. They're just like, hey, we already told you can't be here. Just like,
the reason I knew it was about to be a problem is because we were the only people in the restaurant.
oh yeah.
And we sit down, and the guy's at the door, and the wait staff and everybody's behind me at the bar. And I hear one of them go, oh, fuck, he's back. And I was like, well, it's definitely not us because it's our first time here. Yeah. So this guy's already been a problem tonight. And he starts knocking over tables and stanchions, which is a fancy word for a pole, I figured out. And... he's knocking
like the silverware, like, you know how like at restaurants, if you've ever worked at one, before you can leave as a server, they're like, all right, go roll 20 silverware or some shit. So you gotta like and roll it. He started taking the silverware that someone had rolled and unrolling it. I'm like, what an asshole.
He was fucking methed up.
I'm like, you can be a drug addict and you can be a criminal, but there's no excuse for being rude. Like,
and you know, I should have warned him because it's like, look, dude, we've already killed once tonight.
Yeah,
so
I mean, like,
we're not afraid to do it.
Convicted murderers, okay? So just like. And I mean, like, it's fresh too. Like, it was right down the street.
Yeah, it was an awesome night.
What if we did that? What if somebody like was just an active shooter at like a Target? You know, we're just in there. Some dude's had a bad day. You see some neckbeard whose like Xbox subscription ran out, and he's in there and he has a trench coat, and he just all of a sudden we see him like, wait. So I've been getting told a lot lately that I look like a youth pastor.
No, I'm going to kill the guy. It's going to take a minute. My opening is not great right now, but I've got this new closer. I'm going to fucking end this guy.
I got this joke about Dale Earnhardt, so you just got to let me get to it. I got to work into it.
Or a guy just, you know, like you said, in a Target, pulls out a gun. You're like, hey, man, I know what you're going through. I, too, murder. So let's talk it out. Have you thought about using the rule of threes?
Yeah, a list joke, you know, where you say two things that are obvious and the third one is not obvious.
You don't need these bullets. You just need a really good setup and a killer punch.
I also use bullets on my notes app when I'm doing a list of three jokes. Do you get a lot of pussy after you kill? Yeah, me neither. It's weird. I thought it would be more pussy after the kill. Stop, evildoer! I've got this joke. Hold on right there. So my dad gave me a gambling problem. All my hack shit that's never worked.
What's the deal with airplane peanuts? Oh my god.
And he's like, okay, I gotta hear this. Then he ends up killing us because it's just bad.
He kills himself because it's so bad.
And then I get the medal and a key to the city because I averted a crisis.
You're a hero. Well, I don't feel very much like a hero because I spent a lot of time on that joke, and I thought for sure it would land.
I saved 50 people's lives, and I'm more upset that I bombed.
No, there wasn't a bomb. It was just an active shooter. Yeah, there was a bomb.
Trust me. Someone bombed really hard.
All right. Anyway, sorry about that dive into our fucked up psyche.
So, anyways, we're riding this high. Murphy, we're doing really good. We've killed a bunch. I go to that open mic over in Richmond.
That was in
And-
between these two.
Yeah, that was after this one, before we go to our next one, where we
Right.
went to middle of Tennessee somewhere. And when I go to Richmond, I sign up first, and they put me dead last. And I'm like, damn it. And then I think, okay, this is a bigger city. There's a lot of people here. There's a few big comedy clubs here. These people are going to fucking kill. And it is the worst open mic I've ever been to in my life. I felt like I was a prisoner after the fifth act because I'm just sitting there watching these unfunny people not, first off, they all try to tell stories. And I don't know what it is about the East Coast, but those people never learned how to tell a story. It's like, wrap it up. Where's the point? And how the fuck can we get to it? Cut to the damn point. And then it was just like open mic bingo after that. We're going to talk about weed. We're going to talk about my ass or my penis. We're going to talk about masturbation. We're going to talk about porn. If you've got a defining characteristic, we're going to talk about that.
We should do that one time. We should film like just a regular open mic and play
100%.
bingo with it.
100%.
And we'll set the bingo before we go, so we're not cheating. But it's going to be like a I smoke reference, a sex or porn or masturbation reference, like something like that.
There are a ton of good female comedians, but as soon as a female comedian is like, so I'm a woman, let's talk about my vagina without any other uniqueness, you're like, here we go. Or
You don't have to do that.
You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
It's like, so my parents are immigrants. I'm like, that is a unique take on stuff. But then when you just go into, here's the difference between where my parents come from and where, oh God.
Yep, the difference thing.
Yeah, it's just like, we're going to have so anyways.
Of course, I mean, all the greats do it too. So.
Well, I mean, you can make it funny for sure,
Yeah.
but just whenever you've got that, open mic
Blueprint.
bingo,
Yep.
as soon as somebody talks about weed, there's a 90% chance that it's not going to be funny.
Yep, that's true.
So, I'm at this open mic, and then I'm watching everybody go through, and then I'm watching everybody peel out, and everybody's looking at me like I'm going to suck because I'm not from there. They don't know me. And there's just like 6 people. And they've got the PA system set up in the corner. And everybody keeps getting in front of the mic, in front of the PA system. It's at a brewery.
Feedback.
And just, and they're like, God damn. And then they try to make a joke about it. And then
just stop walking in front of the speaker.
yeah. So finally I was like, well, this is stupid. And there's 6 people in this giant fucking brewery. And they're all over in the corner where nobody can see them. So I'm like, fuck this. So I grabbed the mic. There's like a 10,000 foot cord. So I'm like, to hell with it. I just walk right in the middle, right up in front of people. And I just decide to be, I'm going to be front and center. I'm going to make them look at me whether they want to or not. And then I just do my shit. And I fucking lay my big dick on the table. I'm like, boom. And then afterwards, people are coming up to me and asking like, hey, how long have you been doing comedy? I'm like, 4 months. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, y'all fucking suck. And like, you want to come back here and do something? Like, never again. Because I do not want to sit through
You
this.
should come back. I should not, actually.
So
I'm not
riding.
in a position to be turning down gigs, but I am right now.
So I'm my fucking ego is I'm in the fucking clouds. I thinking I'm big shit. I just fucking killed really far away with stuff that I didn't think would kill. I killed at this other place. I'm murdering. So we book. I reached out to this person who puts on these shows in Knoxville, Tennessee, and they're like, yeah, we'd love to have you at this mic, and it's this really cool thing they've got set up. And I'm really excited to go.
They do it in an actual movie theater.
They do it in a movie theaters.
Which is cool.
And they're like, oh, this is going to be really cool.
Big room.
And they know that I won a competition, and they've seen some praise about us and stuff. So like they're happy to have us. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I do the coattails thing where it's like, hey, I noticed that you let my buddy Travis get on a mic, and I was like, I was going to ride with him, but like, would it be cool if I got a spot? Well, I'm going to be there anyway.
Yeah, I had to like ask him like, hey, my friend wants to come. Can he get some? Can you throw him a bone? Can you give
my
him
friend
some
come
time?
too? So
So
they let me get a spot.
So I feel like I'm the VIP guy when I get here. Like I'm important. I'm supposed to be here. Not really, but like 2% of me believes
Oh,
that.
of course, yeah.
I know that I'm a
'Cause I'm the
shitbag.
tag-along. Yeah.
But then I know like if I like compared to you, I'm like VIP, even though
Right.
we're both really lowly, sucky comedians. But I'm the one that's supposed to be here, and you're the one that just
I'm tagging along.
yeah, I use my influence to get you there.
Yeah.
So people start doing comedy much better.
Yeah, everyone there is
Everyone
doing
there
really
was
well.
very solid. Everyone was fucking killing. And it comes to me, and I get up there, and I had just done a joke previously, kind of one of the neighboring counties, Asheville, North Carolina, super hipster, had just lifted their mask mandates.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought that up in a joke, and I was like, I thought it was pretty funny. So I get here.
You'd already done that at home in Bristol.
Yeah, and I've done it elsewhere too. I did it in Richmond as well. And I was like, okay, cool, this works. I'm like, I've done it twice, 2 separate places, worked both times. I'm like, okay, cool, this is going to work here. Because I get there, and Tennessee has had a very lax COVID vaccine mandate thing. And we're in this theater, and it's a Tuesday night, and it is fucking sold out, like to capacity, like fire marshal has to get involved. Like it is
Put a sign on the door.
elbow to elbow. Nobody's wearing a mask. Everyone is drinking and coughing and hugging and whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. And we're also like 2.5 years into this thing, and I thought I would just talk about how ridiculous it is because I just wanted to make
doing this. And
yeah, I was just gonna make. I'm on everybody's side, but I just wanted to make a joke about, can we say the pandemic is finally over because Asheville just lifted their mask mandate? That's kind of funny. And I'm like, I just want to get back to the place.
Because they're a super liberal place, so if they've lifted it, then
everyone should lift it. And I'm like, I don't think we're quite back to normal. And when I think we'll know when we're back to normal is when old people can just get sick and we don't give a shit. And it's just a throwaway joke, gets a few laughs. I thought it would just make everybody realize that
it's the first thing you say. It's just getting you into it.
It's just getting me in there, just setting the tone. And I was writing some riskier stuff. And I was writing some more controversial stuff because I thought, okay, I haven't gone edgy. Let's go edgy. All the greats are really edgy. They push the line. They push boundaries. Everything I had written that I was going to try that night was very controversial for me.
Yeah.
And I get up there and I'm like, can we say the pandemic is over? And then some lady in the front row looks at me and goes, no! And I'm like, what the fuck? And it shook me to my core. And I felt 2 inches tall. And then I was just like, yeah, I mean, like, right. And then someone else was like, no, goddamn it, no, we can't. I'm like, okay, all right. So then I start talking and I ditch everything new that I was going to do. I'm like, let's go with the tried and true. Let's go with A material. Let's get them back on our side. Nothing. Crickets. Jokes that have never not gotten a laugh. I'm like, people are mean mugging me. I'm forgetting my words. I'm like stammering. I like accidentally unscrewed the fucking microphone because it's like, what the fuck is going on? And the stage is so small, and I just look up at the lady who put me on, who I asked if I could do it, and she's super sweet, and she put me up, and I just look at her, and she's just going, shaking her head like, no. And I'm like, oh no. And I had to scratch, claw, and dig deep because every part of me wanted to be like, all right, well, that's my time, bye, and then just walk off. But I had to dig deep. I had to let's give it the old college try. And I got him back on my side. And by the end of it, I had a few people chuckling. And then at the very end, everybody was laughing. And I'm like, oh, thank God.
You had to fight for it.
I had to fight to get him back. And then you go up there and I'm like, good fucking luck.
Oh, yeah. Instantly, I am terrified because, we don't have similar jokes. I don't think we take 2 completely different takes on it, but we have a similar, perspective.
Right.
We come from a similar background, things like that. So I'm like, well, he lost him straight off bat with the mask mandate thing, and if they're that far left,
which I mean, we're very liberal, but the difference is we think you can make fun of anything.
Yeah, exactly.
You can make fun of anything. There are no sacred cows. Make fun of whatever the fuck you want. I do not care.
You should absolutely wear a mask in the COVID times, sure, but it's also funny to be it's a perspective thing. It's still funny to talk about that shit as long as you do it correctly. So I'm like, if he's that far left, my joke about how my dad thinks I'm gay is probably not going to go great at all. This is not, and I don't
because you use the word choir.
Yeah, I'm being him in that joke. So I think that's my out most of the time. But I'm like, he couldn't even get to his punchline about old people dying and no one giving a shit. That's the joke there. The joke isn't hey, the pandemic's over. Saying the pandemic over is just to get you into
because now everybody's
actually over.
You're not wearing a mask. Are you trying to kill my grandmother? And it used to be oh yeah, my Aunt Gertrude died at 96, and everybody was like, oh, I guess it happens,
Yeah.
Nobody cared.
Now someone could die at 112, and they're like, so COVID.
So you murdered my grandmother because you didn't get 7, booster shots?
Yeah. So trying to make fun of that, and I'm pretty nervous about the whole thing. I'm like, oh, this is probably not going to go well, but I don't have anything else prepared. I'm still going to do my shit, and I just hope that it goes well.
And I'm just standing in the corner, and no one wants... everybody was being like, oh, I know you, I've seen you, and everybody's walking up to me and talking to me and shaking my hand, and then at the end of it, nobody's talking to me. I'm standing in the corner by myself. I look like I look like somebody who's going to go shoot up a target at a high school dance because I'm just sitting against the wall all alone, holding myself deep in my thoughts.
I was so nervous to go on stage. And
then you fucking... I'll let you say it. Obliterate!
I did okay. So I step up,
And it was like you get up there and you were like, I could tell that you didn't want to like really be there and you were nervous and like you were just like, just whatever.
Well, that's the thing. As soon as I stepped on stage, I was like, this is going to go how this is going to go.
And
it's
you just-
probably not going to be good. So I just stopped giving a shit instantly. I was like, well, I'll never be back here. 'Cause
You were so loose. It's the most comfortable I've ever seen you on stage.
I was just kicked back, relaxing, leaning on the mic stand, just like, yeah, here's my dick jokes. And like halfway through, I'm like, hey, they're laughing pretty fucking hard about this. So then I did a little crowd work for the first time, and I call out a guy in the front row. First time I'd ever done any crowd work, and they fucking loved it. And like I just keep rolling and rolling and rolling. I get off, and I was like, I fucking did really well just now. Like it was one of those like, you know, when you kill or you do really good at the club, you're like, that was what I did well there. But like that one was like, did I do that? Were you there? Did you see that? Like they actually liked that shit?
Yeah.
It was mind blowing.
The only time I've ever actually thought I did well was after that previous set we were talking about,
Yeah.
where we both did really good. I was like, that was good, right?
Yeah.
But even when I've done well and people have told me I've done well, they're like, you did really good. I'm like, did I? I just feel like I was a little, I don't feel
Oh
like
yeah, I didn't really land. The timing was off on this. Like you start, and I think you should do that. I think that's the way you should be if you want to get good. Is like every little misspeak or every little, I should have waited longer on this, or I should have mentioned this because it was topical or whatever. Having that, like, no matter how good you do, always being a critic thing, I think makes you better.
I think so. But the worst part about this
Sometimes.
fucking show is, it's like we were all like, okay, Murphy did good. All right, at least they know we bring some heat. And then I try to write your cartels. I'm like, they know that we're good. And they're like, wow, you did so funny. And then they looked at me, and I swear to God, the person who put on the host are like, oh, should I get you some gas money? And they're like, Murphy, like, you asked me, like, oh, thank you for putting us. I'm like, anytime you want to come, seriously, anytime. And they look at me and they're like, let me Venmo you like $10 for gas. And I'm just like, I could have like thrown up on my shoes. I was like, what? Like, no, I want to come back. This was so much fun. Please have me back. I can do better.
It was, yeah, that was the like,
So cold.
yeah, that was the crowning achievement.
Oh no. Then we go outside in the front, and this is the worst fucking part. The worst part, okay.
The thing you bitched about the whole.
Oh,
way home.
no. Better than this. Better than this. Okay. So we walk out, and the dude you did crowd work with, you called him Tom Brady. This motherfucker is drunk as shit and like driving a
And
goddamn
he looked
Cadillac.
a little bit like Tom Brady.
I mean, but whatever.
Enough from the back that everyone
But he
knew
comes
who I was
out
talking
and he's
about.
like, "Oh my god, you're fucking amazing!" Blah, 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 blah. Just starts like choking on your dick and just talking about how amazing you are. And then this dude comes up and goes, "Yo," and like this big, intimidating black dude comes out and he's like, "Yo, I'm a producer. I'm making things happen. I got a short film I'm making. I'd love to cast you in it, and I'd love to be your agent." And he just started hustling all this other stuff.
Yeah, he asked if I had an agent. I was like, no, dude, I've been doing this a couple months, and no.
But he's like, "I'm so glad y'all rolled through." Tell you what.
He asked if he could take a picture with me.
No,
That's the
yeah,
first
no.
time that
This is
ever
what
happened.
pissed me off. He goes, "Can I get a picture with you?" And then he goes, "Who's gonna here?" Well, and then he hands me the phone and tells me to take the picture. I'm like, I was here too. All right, yeah, fucking fine. I'll take a goddamn picture. Fucking clean your goddamn camera anyway. It's like it's fucking foggy as shit. To clean your fucking camera for you, I'll fucking put whatever it's at.
It was such a like stark difference from what usually happens, because usually you're getting the dick sucks and I'm the guy in the corner like, no, you were my second favorite for sure. And I'm like, don't tell me that. Just be like you were terrible. I'll be okay with that.
Right.
And this one was like such a stark difference. Just you standing beside me while all these people are coming up and being like, man, you're great. You're doing it. You're killing it. You're going to go places. And Travis is just sitting there looking at his shoes on the sidewalk.
I couldn't even get in. Like I tried to start talking and people would just be like, "Nah." I'm like, no.
It was awesome. Oh my god.
But like Sean Carter, or Sean Carter, the guy
he's
who
going
owns.
to be on here.
Yeah, fuck it. Who cares? Like for the 6 people who listen, you already know who the fuck I'm talking about.
You guys know Sean.
You guys know Sean? Yeah, Sean. Yeah, Sean.
Your body.
Man. Anyways,
That's for the other 6 people.
Sean
who
had
listen.
the best advice about this. He's like, sometimes you're the hero and sometimes you're just not. So, you can't always be the winner. And like that night, you were clearly the hero. But the worst part was there was a guy there who was going to go up.
I was the hero.
So he moved in from way out of the way. I think he was in Florida or some shit.
Florida,
and he was talking about the place that we go to. And he's like, do you get to do feature spots? You get to open for people? I'm like, yeah. I'm getting ready to open for Michael Palisak, who's like a bigger, I guess he's a clean comedian, but he's like a bigger comedian. He's done everything. Everything you can do on TV, he's done.
Yeah, he's been on all the talk shows and everything.
And I tell him, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do 20 minutes for him. He goes, wow, that's fucking amazing. He goes, you get to do 20 minutes? I'm like, yeah. But then after this, we're out there talking, and he was telling you how amazing you were. Mm-hmm. And then he goes up to me, and he was like, wow, yeah, so I'm gonna check out that club. I'm going to come to that open mic you were talking about. He's like, you get to do 20 minutes, right? And he goes, I'm going to tell you right now, you ain't got it. That's all he said. And it shook me to my core because it wasn't like,
It's like the most painful thing he could have
no,
said.
it wasn't for real. It wasn't like he was like, hey, maybe you could try this and this. Let me hear what else you're working on. Do you have other stuff? Were you trying new stuff tonight? He took that one and he judged me completely. He goes, you ain't got it. And he just told me, not like maybe you could have it. Maybe I'm like, I thought this was an open mic tonight. So I was going to try new stuff and I pivoted halfway through and started doing old stuff to try to save myself because I had fucking sunk myself, lost the crowd, had to fight Scratch Claw to win the crowd back. All people saw was me bombing on stage. I'm like, cool. And he just looks at me and goes, you ain't got it. And then I was like, oh, man. And everybody's like, oh, you carried that chip on your shoulder. And I was like, I wasn't mad and I didn't want to prove him wrong. I believed him. I was like, he's right. I don't have it. I ain't got it. And I got to open this guy. It's going to be real embarrassing. And I'm going to bomb again. So he ends up coming to our open mic. And I was talking pure shit about this guy too, because I was telling the story and I just thought it was funnier if I made him an asshole.
Yeah.
And then I forgot I invited him to the open mic, and then I just say, hey, who's that wrote their name down there? And I look up and there the fuck he is. I'm like, you came? I'm like, what? Because it's not a short drive, and he shows up at our open mic, and everybody's like, oh, that's the guy who said you ain't got it, man. Fuck. And everybody like,
I was on that train.
It got
I was
so
like,
weird.
First of all, this guy doesn't even know your set. He doesn't know anything about you. He doesn't know that's you can't judge someone off of one set.
But it got so weird. Everybody went like full high school or like college frat
I
bros.
was like,
do we need to
no,
fuck this guy?
that.
Show us how to fuck
And Travis is like, hey, buddy, so let me show you around. I'm like, what are you fucking doing?
No, he's like, no, everybody got all weird. They got like frat bros like, hey, we're gonna fuck this dude up. I'm like, no. I'm like,
Yeah,
no, we're not.
You have a belt. You're our little king, and we'll protect you.
It was so weird because I was like, this is what I felt like. It was like, I've been to open mics where I didn't know anybody there, and it was hella fucking awkward because I'm trying to hold a beer, and all of a sudden I'm like, I don't remember how to stand. Like I don't know how to stand alone because usually I'm not thinking about it, but I know everybody.
Beer up here. Is it
Down here.
I don't know.
I don't know how to fucking do it. How to sit in a chair. And like I forget because it's just tall bar stools. I'm like, how the fuck do you climb? Am I supposed to stand on this thing or do I just run and jump up into this? I got little legs. So the guy's there and I'm like, I know what it's like to be there and it's awkward. So I'm like, hey man, what's going on? Glad you came. I'm like, let me introduce you to some people. Let me show you the owner. And then I fucking just didn't talk to him again. But I just
Yeah, but for that first few minutes, as soon as he walked in, like I told everyone that we'd told the story about, I'm like, there's the guy that says Travis ain't got 20. And they're like, man, fuck that guy. So the whole club is just like, what's up, bitch? And Travis is like, you're my new best friend. Let me show you. We're like, what a weird dynamic because the only person this guy has ever insulted is the guy who's being the nicest to him out of anyone. Because we didn't get the memo that Travis was just going to be nice to the guy because he has manners and decorum.
yeah, I'm not gonna be rude to some stranger. And like, I don't even know if he was being mean. He just said you ain't got 20, and based off my set that I did, like he was right. You know.
Well, that
But also, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Like this was supposed to be.
You also should be able to, like, there are some people who don't do very well, and then they get off stage and like, I think it went pretty good, right?
Right.
And you're like, yeah, man, you did great. Like, you just got to give them that and let them walk away thinking they did okay.
I didn't even make it away from the mic, and I immediately went, "Oh, fucked up."
Yeah, like talking to someone after their set, if they're like, man, that fucking was not good, that at least tells you that they're aware of what's good and what's not. And the fact that you were like really brutal on yourself to everyone there, they should have known, been like, yeah, something didn't go right tonight. Like, it doesn't matter how good you are at comedy, you're going to have a bad set. At some point, you're going to do something wrong. You're going to say something too far. You're going to have an audience that just for some reason miraculously turns out to be not your people or whatever. The fact that you can get off stage and be like, yeah, that didn't go as planned. I fucked that up. That should tell people right there, like, yeah, he knows what he's doing. This just wasn't his set.
The hardest I killed in my comedy career was on the car ride home because you're in such a good mood.
Oh, yeah,
and
I
I'm
was
so sour.
I am riding high because I've just had the second greatest set of my whole life right in front of you, who did not do well.
And just the whole...
And, you know, obviously, since you won the belt and everyone talks about how great Travis is and Travis is the best in the club and all of this horse shit that
Which
you
is
hear.
not true. There's several people better.
Right, but they say that shit because fuck them. And, and you hear this shit forever. And then to finally, that guy, this mythical being, you know, the guy that I've known since I was 11 years old, and he's not that goddamn funny. All these people are sucking his dick all the time to finally be like, well, really, I fucking ruined these people, and he did nothing like it. It felt so good to finally claw my way back up to at least equal. Because it's, I mean, whether we admit it or not, it's a constant competition between the both of us. That's our thing.
I'm just having a competition myself. I want us both to do good.
Right.
Let's do fucking good.
Right.
So the car ride home, I was just so mad. He's like, hey, do you care if we stop and get a water and something to eat? I'm a little parched. I'm like, are you? Are your lips fucking dry? They lip fucking dry from killing so much?
The hardest I have ever laughed, including all comedy sets I've ever seen, one of the hardest I have ever laughed is when your wife called you. And she was like, so how'd it go? And you're like, well, not fucking good. I'll tell you, like, you're on 10 because you've been on 10 with me. So she's calling like, hey, how was your set? And you're like, fucking horrible. So it goes from her being like super nice to him at a level 10 upset. And she's like, was it really that bad? Because he's playing through the car, so I can hear their whole conversation. I'm crying, laughing. He's like, yes, it was that fucking bad, Kayla. And she's like, I doubt it was that bad. You're just probably overreacting. He goes, God, you sound so fucking stupid right now.
like I'm one of those asshole kids yelling at his mom. Don't turn off my Xbox, Mom. You're still fucking. You have any idea how fucking dumb you are right now, Mom? I was just so mad.
God. And then finally it gets quiet, and he goes, Murphy, tell her. She's like, how bad was it? And I was like, it wasn't great. And she goes, oh no. Because she knows I'm not going to bullshit. Like, I would be like, it's not as bad as he thinks. Like, we always kind of gas each other up a little bit. It's like, dude, that was not good. And you're like, yeah, you had a couple parts where you messed up, but overall it was better than you think. This one, like, I was still trying to do that a little bit until I thought back, and I was like, yeah, he had, what was it, 10 minutes? What was our set? Like 8 to 10 minutes, something like that. And for like 6 of it, silence. You had to fight. And
the only sound I got was someone yelling the word no at me twice.
I'll be honest with you, though, and I don't think I've told you this since, but winning competitions, starting stand-up, having a YouTube channel that goes to the moon, all the cool shit you've done in your life, the most impressed I've ever been by you is the fact that you stayed on that stage and fought and got them laughing again. I was like, that is some pro shit right there.
That's not what he's impressed by.
It is 100% what I was
You should see me when I go to the bathroom, you know what I'm saying?
I've seen it. It's not that great.
Yeah, that's what you're impressed by. Like, I can't believe you piss someone getting all over your balls every time. Jesus.
No, the fact that you hung it out to dry there, you're like, you know what? I'm going to stay.
Have to hang it out to dry because when you piss on your balls, it gets awfully moist.
I was like, I wouldn't have done it. Like, if I had been in your situation after about minute 4, I'd been like, all right, sorry.
I love that I got to yell at your wife, too, because she called, like, how'd it go? I'm like, how'd it fucking go? I don't remember all that I was saying, but I was on one.
Oh, yeah, dude, you were killing
Cancel after the first 5 seconds.
Dude, the subway. Oh, my God. In the subway, you're still on one.
Oh, that's right. And you got that. It was a Subway / gas. We went to it was the only thing that was open. So we went to one of those truck stops that had like a Subway in it. And we're like, I haven't eaten Subway in 14 years. You feel like just getting diarrhea? Like, yeah, let's go eat a footloaf of just cracker dry bread. Like, let's go.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Subway's not good.
And there's just some
you're
giant,
starving and it's
box. You got one of those meth heads with like the 7 box colors in their hair. And you're like, it's going to be great. Yeah. She looks like she follows safety protocol.
Tell the story.
I don't remember it. I just remember I was going mad.
Oh, we were talking. He was still on one, still like giving me shit, and I'm like, I'm hungry. He's like, how could you be hungry after all those fucking souls you just took? Like, he's just going on and on and on.
I was like, yeah, I hope you. Only thing I remember, I said something really mean, but it was still funny because I'm like, oh yeah, you fucking. You're like, I hope you fucking choke and die screaming on your fucking laughter. I hope you fucking parch and fucking. It was just, I don't know. It was so long ago, and I was just so mad. And
so
I remember telling the lady in the subway,
the mascot being Jared, and you're like, yeah, like, why is Jared the mascot for Subway? That's dumb as shit. Like, you would think maybe Harriet Tubman, because she ran an actual Underground Railroad, which is the subway, and that's someone we could lean on. You know, that's an impressive person from history, not some kitty toucher. And I'm laughing hysterically because I know he's been on one all night, and now he's just finding stuff to bitch about to hit for me. Like, that's what he's doing. He's there. He's doing a one-man show for me. And this lady just silently putting the stuff in. I'm looking at her. I'm like, oh, she's going to be upset about that. Like, you can tell she is probably not pro Harriet Tubman. And what is it she said? Some kind of weird factoid.
Oh, she did say something weird about Jared. Did you know that Jared was whatever? And it was like super racist. And
oh no, Subway, the owners are black. Or owners are Chinese or something. She's like, yeah, owners are Chinese.
She said it, it made it so uncomfortable.
I don't know if you heard, lady, but he was on the pro-black side of history here. He's
Oh,
talking
no, yeah,
about
that's
what a
the thing,
great
too.
person she would
I was
have
like,
been.
yeah, I'm pro-vaccine too, goddammit. I'm like, I just keep digging myself in all these graves. I'm like, what is it about this side of fucking Tennessee where I'm telling you guys I'm on your fucking side, and all of a sudden I hate Chinese people, and I'm a pro-Trumper who's going to put microchips in your arm if you take the vaccine.
That was the thing that was funniest to me. It's like, that's the second time he's been misconstrued as a piece of shit that night. The lady at
was
Subway's
saying-
like, oh, here's a fellow racist.
I was like, I don't like that I was like, I don't like that the fucking the spokesman was a kitty toucher, and she's like, yeah, I don't like that the owners are Chinese either. I was like, what did I say to make you think that we were on the same team?
Oh my God. It was so funny. It's like, I don't know, man. You just got racist vibes, I guess. Like, I'm this big bearded redneck.
I
with
was
a
asking
dip of
myself, I'm
snuff
like-
in and a Columbia fishing baseball hat on, and they look at this guy and they're like, yeah, there's a fellow racist.
Did I accidentally use the word Orientals when I walked in here? When I was talking about your teriyaki chicken, I was like, what the fuck is going on?
I was anti-child molester, pro hugely famous black person.
Yeah, because
and
the
this
subway
lady-
is an underground railroad. Harriet Tubman ran the underground railroad. I'm like, make her your spokesperson instead of a kitty toucher. Not a great joke.
This lady's like, I can tell he don't like that. He just
Yeah. You know what I don't like? Just between you and me?
anyway, the thing I think we take away from that is this, and it's a super important lesson in comedy. And it's weird that like right after this, I heard it on a podcast. I don't remember which podcaster I would give credit, but if you're going to say something that's slightly controversial, like the pandemic being over, as benign or silly as that is, people are going to be divided on that topic. In order to be able to say something divisive, you've got to build some credit first. And it was Tom Segura said that.
Yeah, because that's the thing that I realized is like,
The people at Bristol know you're not a piece of shit.
because I've done
Yeah,
other
they
stuff
know
and
you
they've talked to me
personally.
personally, yeah.
So you go into a room full, and the first thing you say is the pandemic's over. Everyone's like, oh, here's a redneck piece of shit who's an anti-vaxxer and a big Trump supporter. And they have to assume that because they know nothing about you. The only thing that they know about you at this point is you think the pandemic's over.
Yeah, so
You've got to earn that. Now, he could have done that joke at the end of his set, and they would have laughed hysterically. I truly believe that.
but it's because I didn't buy any credit.
You got to buy the
You got to
credit.
teach people. You got to show people who you are. So if your opener, whatever you say on stage first, or your opener probably needs to be something that's more in line with what your beliefs are.
Right, so that they know, okay, this is where this guy stands, so now he can joke about this other thing. Like,
So
I
if you're
just were to
super
go
pro female,
Yeah.
or you're super pro women's rights, and then you go like, "Some fucking chicks, right? Want equality, huh?"
Yeah.
And then if that's the first thing you say, they might think, "Wow, this guy's a piece of shit." But if they realize that no, you're super pro women's rights and you're being facetious, then
Yeah. So that is absolutely something I took from that, and it's weird that I heard that shortly after. I was like, oh, that's exactly what happened to Travis. It's not that they were against his beliefs, it's they didn't know his beliefs, so they had to assume that he was against this thing that they were for. So if you're going to do something controversial or push a topic or do a divisive topic, make sure you've earned the credit to do it first. And it could be something as simple as being like, it doesn't even have to be in the same line. You can't do a bunch of shit like, you should be wearing masks and here's why, and now I can do a mask joke. As long as you had done something that's like feminist or anti-racist or anything to show your liberal values, a pro-abortion joke, anything to show that you're a liberal-minded person before you do a super conservative take on something, then I think you're okay. It doesn't have to be in the same topic line or anything. I think it just has to be along those lines of showing who you really are so that you have earned the credit to make fun of the thing that you're not.
or I need to start going to conservative crowds. I'm
That's
going to
the
start
other
playing the
option.
Southern Circuit.
We moved to the Midwest, right? Larry the Cable Guy's on his way out. We come up with a catchphrase, cut off the sleeves.
Get rid of these sleeves. I gotta work on my tan.
Yeah, I think we can do it.
So, speaking about things that are controversial, today we're going to break down something we like to do on the show is we like to break down comic bits. So I think today we're going to do a bit of alt comedy. That's controversial. Some people are like, is it comedy? Is it not comedy?
Right.
So today we're breaking down a really famous alt comedian, Chris Rock, and it's his bit on, what's the name of this bit again?
It's like one of those comedy duos.
Yeah, that's right, where he's got like a straight man and then...
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then you play like two
No,
sides.
that's Abbott and Lou Costello. This wouldn't be that. This would be... Is this ventriloquism? The Jeff Dunham thing?
Yeah, kind of like that because one of them definitely looks like a dummy.
Yeah.
So
Someone definitely looks like they get something shoved up their ass. Someone does the talking for them.
I disagree with that take. But, anyway, I don't know if you guys have heard. It's kind of been an underground topic. No one's really been talking about it.
It's
but,
alt comedy's not mainstream. Like Dane Cook back in the day, mainstream.
right, like the opposite of alt comic.
Alt comic, not a lot of people have heard of.
There's an award show that has a lot to do with films. It's called like
Oscars.
the Oscars. Yeah.
Oscars.
And apparently there was a thing that went down there, a little bit of like a hand-to-hand combat type situation. Not a lot of people saw it, but
In case you missed it,
yeah,
we'll put a link in the description where you can watch it. It's called
there's a guy, Will Smith, and he slaps the absolute shit out of Chris Rock.
and you can
on
watch the
Oscars.
uncensored full version. So I'm going to take a hot piss,
Okay,
get
then
a
we'll get it all
refill,
started.
and then we'll get this started. All right. Get that fucking dock off the bottom. God, act like you ran a goddamn computer before. Ugh, you're so fucking dumb.
This is why he hits you. It's your fault. All right, ready, Beck? All right, so obviously
Hold on,
we're
I'm just done. That was the grossest sound of birth, dude. It was just wet. It sounded like my pussy threw up. Okay, sorry. Ain't it? Cut. We're cutting that. Cut. Timestamp it. Write it down. Write the timestamp down. Write it down. What's timestamp? No, write the timestamp down. Oh my God! You got one goddamn job. This is why I hit you. Kayla tells us she doesn't like when I do that.
I don't like it either. It sounds like it hurts so bad.
Everybody says it hurts, but like I don't know. Like it's the only way. Like if I do this, like that hurts. Like when you clap your hands to her. But if I do this, like I get my anger out. I've done it ever since.
It hurts my knuckles to do it.
Whenever I watch like UFC fights, I get all antsy, and I'm like, and like they fucking like one, like I know what the fuck I'm doing, and two, like they can hear me. I'm like, come on, fucking pour it on her, circle outside and hook, come on, let's go, and I'll do that, and it's the only way that I feel better.
It hurts my knuckles to listen to you do that. All right, anyway, start back at the thing I tried to do originally before fuckstick over here. Hey, why don't you just punch your fists together and shut the fuck up. Daddy's working. All right.
Daddy's working. What are they? Sounds like you're working a cock.
I can't help it. You're turned on by me.
Oh God, I got a cramp in my throat. Oh.
That's what you get, you fucking piece of shit. Oh, we have to start this whole podcast over. I forgot to turn on the lights.
Oh God.
All right. Obviously, we were fucking around. Everyone knows about the Will Smith slapping Chris Rock bullshit. Everyone and their mother has a take on it. Obviously, you want to hear one more, so we're going to do it. We're a little late to the game, because we only record once every 6 months. But
Still a weekly podcast, though.
yeah, it's a weekly podcast.
so far.
We just, we don't record weekly or bi-weekly or monthly. Go ahead.
どうなんでしょうか
Wow! Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
ウィル・スミスにやられました
What the fuck is that?
What version are we on?
Wow, dude. It was a G.I.
Why do I want to
Jane
invest in
joke.
Chinese energy all of a sudden?
G.I. ジェーンのジョークだったんです
Why do I want to invest in
I'm going to, okay?
the subliminal messages in this?
Okay. That was a greatest night in the history of television.
テレビ史上最高の場面でしょうか
Why do we have the one with the Chinese translation?
I don't know. Also, that's super racist of you.
I was trying to say what she said. Okay, I realized
You
that.
don't know that
I
that's
don't know what I
Chinese.
said. You're right.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
No wonder you got
you're
booed
right,
off
you're right,
stage.
you're right.
You see it now? You see how you're a racist now?
Learning some stuff about myself.
Yeah. Also, they're not all illegals, Trev. Okay?
I've got this problem.
Some of them have families.
Okay, first off, I've got this
Fucking
problem.
bigoted piece of shit.
And my wife can tell me about this problem as well. Whenever somebody says something in a funny way, funny like unusual to me, like if someone has a Scottish accent or they've got like a funny voice, like immediately I say it back, and she'll slap me all the time whenever she hears somebody that speaks in a weird way, because I just try to mimic it constantly.
Over under. How many
In
times?
front of them.
How many times you say the N-word today? Just it's okay.
Out loud,
Be honest.
and I'm
It's
not
fine.
even.
This is a safe space. It's okay. All right, I'm just fucking with you. First of all, I need to start this take off by confessing my undying love for Will Smith. I've
I've never
obsessed-
met a bigger fan.
I have been obsessed with him since I was a child.
It's your favorite person. Can do no wrong in your eyes.
Yep, he is a perfect human. I have loved him. Like, I know all the words to all of his terrible rap songs. I've seen every movie he's been in 1,000 times. Wild Wild West, one of my favorites, and the whole world hates it.
I know whenever like we were in that group chat and people were like, "Oh, he needs to apologize for Wild Wild West." I was like, I didn't think it was that bad, and we were like, "It's one of my favorite movies."
Yeah, I love Will Smith. This was absolutely a bitch fucking move by Will Smith.
I first saw it.
My level of respect, I've never lost respect for someone so fast over one small incident.
What were you doing when you saw it? Like, what mood were you in? And has it changed? Has your opinion on this changed? Because I went back and forth on this 400 times.
I haven't wavered a little, not even a little bit. I didn't know anything about it. You actually texted me right after it happened. It was like, hey, we have to talk about the Will Smith thing on the podcast. And I was like, oh, shit, what did he do? I didn't even know because I don't keep up with any of this shit. I also don't keep up with the news. I very seldom get on social media. So I am fucking blind to everything going on all the time. If you don't tell me about it, I don't know about it. So I went in inquisitive, I guess, and expecting the worst. So I looked it up. Obviously, it was all over Twitter and everywhere else. I was able to find it instantly just by opening any social media app. And I saw it, and instantly I was like, what a fucking bitch. Like, two things struck me immediately off the top. One, Will Smith must hit like a pussy, or Chris Rock is an absolute fucking G.
I've got thoughts on that, but
because he took that shit, like, Will wasn't holding back. He wasn't gonna half slap a dude. He's gonna give it his all on TV.
So here's my thought. Like, whenever I was on the computer editing some video, and I heard just your fucking mouth, and I was like, what the fuck is that? I'm like, and I thought it was a gag, and I look over and I see Kayla watching it, and I'm like, what are you watching? She goes, Will Smith just smacked the shit out of Chris Rock. I'm like, what? And then the first thing I thought initially was, oh, this must be a publicity stunt. It's like a goof that they're doing. And then I watched it, and I'm like, yeah, that had to be a fake slap, right? Because, like, it just didn't look right. And then I watched it, and I'm like, no, it was a real fucking slap.
Yeah.
And I was just like, so my initial reaction was that it was a publicity stunt. And then after that, I was like, well, what did Chris Rock say? I'm like, well, it really doesn't matter. I don't give a fuck what you say. You don't get the right to assault somebody, sticks and stones. And then I was
especially in that capacity.
Yeah, you can't do it and make it all. I was like, wow, he must be a narcissist to make it about himself. And then the next thing I thought was like, well, okay, what if Chris Rock did say something really bad? And I'm like, a slap is still different than a punch. And maybe a slap is like it's the closest you can come. Like, if you slap somebody and you get in a fist fight after that, well, that's expected.
Yeah.
But if you slap somebody and there's no fight, it's not like, well, that guy's a bitch for not punching you or fighting back or something like that, because it was a slap. It might have been like the last, back in olden times, people were like, how dare you, and then slap you as like.
Oh, I've never been like, you see a lot of takes online, one of them being that it was fake, which obviously it wasn't, because there's all the repercussions are coming down now. And neither one of them had anything to gain from that.
Right.
Like,
I'm thinking the slap to me looked like, it in some circles, maybe a slap is like the last that I can tell you, hey, that's not okay. You cross that line again, I'm going to punch you. And I'm like, and people are like, well, why didn't he just shout him down? Well, first off, keep your fucking mouth shut. You're at your fucking rich people award show.
Yeah.
And like, his job is to sit there and roast you. You put yourself in the public eye.
Yeah.
So you open yourself up to public scrutiny.
You make millions of dollars a second to have people make fun of you. Shut the fuck up and take it, first off. Secondarily, and everyone's like, well, they're people too. Sure, but they chose that. Like, I don't, if my job is to serve pizza, I don't get mad at someone for asking for fucking pizza.
Yeah.
Get a different job if it's a problem for you. So, but here's like the thing that always kills me. It's like the take you see where people are like, it's full on assault, and he could have killed Chris Rock with that assault.
No.
Fucking
no,
dude. Apparently, you ain't never seen anybody get slapped.
No,
like that's
it's not assault.
It's a bitch move from a bitch.
It's like a slap is different than a punch for sure. Secondly, here's the thing, like, actors like to think that they're tough, like, because he pretended to be Muhammad Ali. I'm like, bitch, you ain't Muhammad Ali.
No.
Let's play this back. Watch this slap. This is what I noticed about him. For someone with fight training, look at his feet. Dude does not plant his feet. He's up on his toes, which is a very effeminate thing to do. Let's run that back one more time and see if you can pause it whenever the slap happens. Look at this. Whenever he goes to slap, he is on his toes. He did not plant his feet. First off, wrist is limp. He's on his toes. It's a very feminine thing to do. I've always had my suspicions about Will Smith. I've said this for over a decade. Now people are piling on the Will Smith could be gay train. I've been saying that forever. I just get vibes from him. But whenever he slapped him, the reason, yes, it was quick. It was whoomp. It looked like he smacked the shit out of him, but he's on his toes. He didn't plant his feet. He didn't put anything really on it. So, no, like, there was a Chris Rock's got a chin. I'm like, I don't know where this, I guess people watching Reddit or Instagram, they see people get knocked out all the time. They think it's easy to knock someone unconscious.
Oh, no,
it's not.
I know that's not the case. But the fact that it has less to do with him, like, not getting knocked out.
But how he responded to it.
The fact that he just kept, dude's hands never leave from behind his back.
And he
takes
just,
a
like,
full force, everything Will Smith, who is an adult man, regardless of how much
larger
of a bitch
than
he
him.
is, yeah, takes a full force slap to the face from him, and his hands never leave behind his back.
And he just keeps his demeanor.
Yeah, and addresses it and moves on. He is a fucking pro, dude. That was unbelievable the way he dealt with it. The other thing that makes me want to punch punk ass Will Smith's face, play it.
どうなんでしょうか。
This right here.
Wow. Smirks right there. Like
That
he's smiling.
fucking that swagger walk where he's
Will
like, "Yeah, I'm a
Smith just
bad
smacked the shit out of me.
motherfucker." Dude, you couldn't even hurt Chris Rock, and he's like 4 foot tall. Like, you're such a
5'10",
fucking
whatever.
punk bitch, dude. I wish Will Smith was here. I'd fight his ass. Fuck you, Will Smith.
No, whenever he did that
I'm
swagger
Legend was
walk away,
trash.
like that's when I thought it was fake because it looked like he was breaking character, like he was smiling. And I don't see a swagger walk. I see like a sassy walk. I think Will
I
Smith
know.
is flaming, dude.
Okay, that's fine. He can be gay. That's fine. The thing that upsets me is how much at this moment right here. Sure, he's apologized and withdrew and all that shit now. At that moment right there, he thinks I am the baddest motherfucker on
Yeah.
the planet. He thinks,
And then he gets up
first of
to
hand,
accept his award.
you open-handed slapped a much smaller man in a capacity where he made you look like a punk because he never even flinched, dude. He took the punch. Obviously, it moved his head, and he just goes back. His hands never left from behind his back.
I will say I love that Chris Rock didn't press charges.
Yeah, that's cool of him.
Because everybody is like so quick to sue and try to make a big
Yeah.
deal. The fact that Chris Rock is like openly I mean, I don't know what he's going to do in
It
the
makes
future.
Will look even worse.
Yeah, but as of right now, the fact that Chris Rock's like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. It's like,
I hate that people are calling him a bitch for that too. I'm like, that's not a bitch move.
Yeah, that's a gangster move.
To be
That's
like, I don't give a fuck.
Dude,
I got
he's-
smacked in the face in front of millions of people now. Trillions, billion, whatever.
We talked
and
about it.
He doesn't even care.
We talked about, I think, either first or second episode of this thing. The first ever comedy DVD I bought, like, once I realized what stand-up was Chris Rock, Bigger and Blacker. Like, that was... And he's been one of my favorites ever since. He's one of the most fucking badass dudes to ever do it. He is a pro's pro and one of the greatest of all time in comedy. And the thing that I love about this whole thing more than anything is not that he got hit and took it like a champ, and not the fuck that he didn't press charges. The thing that, like, once Will sits down, he's like, dude, it was a G.I. Jane joke. Like, he's still, like,
it was a
defending
G.I.
the joke.
Jane joke. It was,
Yeah, it's like it wasn't even a good joke, Will. Like, the fact that
And
the
wasn't even
it's
that bad
jokes over
either.
everything for him, I love that.
Because it wasn't like G.I. Jane lost her hair. She intentionally shaved her hair, which
Yeah, and
so
she
did
looked
Jada.
fucking badass doing it.
Yeah, I mean, hot as hell, but like,
Yeah.
And then Jada, like, you intentionally shave her hair. She's like, I've got alopecia. And I'm like, maybe a mild form, but also, like, that doesn't, like.
Yeah, so the fuck do I? It's like,
But that doesn't, like, I mean, that's the thing is, like,
whatever.
if people do have some sort of thing that makes them unique or different, it's just a defining characteristic. And if you have that, are we supposed to not ever talk about that? Like, we're not supposed to, like, Peyton Manning, how often do you think he got made fun of for having a fucking 5 head instead of a 4 head because it was
Oh,
so
yeah.
goddamn big?
Well, I mean, and dude, bald people have been the butt of jokes since the dawn of
Forever.
time. And sure, it's different for women and it's harder for women. But she just posted a video saying she was going to own it, and that
And she's always had her hair cut short.
it's like,
It's never like she's had long, luscious locks. She's always, like, flirted with, like,
here's
damn near a
like,
buzz cut.
I've been giving Will a bunch of shit, and I do believe that, like, his mental health isn't in a safe place or whatever the fuck's going on to get him to this point. I don't
What do you
think
think happened? Like, what do you
I don't
think?
think he's always been this person. I think Jada Pinkett Smith is a toxic ass cunt. That's what I think.
Here's what I think.
Dude, how else can you be one of the biggest movie stars of all time, a triple threat, has been and done everything in the world he wanted to do, and still get punked by your wife who's fucking the pool boy?
Did you see that video that came out of?
And stay with her?
Did you see that video that came out with Will where he was talking about his social media, like don't post me or whatever?
Yeah. Yeah,
See if you can find that, Kay.
she's a toxic bitch, dude.
The
Jada, or it's like all the rage right now. Just Google Will Smith,
Smith.
Jada social media.
yeah. J-Day. Well, no, close enough.
Yeah, it's just JADA, but yeah.
Then social media. There we go. No, that one right there. Yep. Second one.
Yep.
Yep.
Resurfaced footage of Will
Scrubbed in the
Smith
middle.
asking his
Fucking-
wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, not
I
to
hate these-
record him without permission
I hate
has
these,
been
like,
doing the
voiceover
rounds on
shit.
Reddit.
Just
In the
scroll
49-second
through.
clip,
Scroll to the
which
middle.
was uploaded on Reddit,
We don't wanna hear her talk
Jada
about
is
it. Yeah,
see where
around
here we
that
go.
time.
You know Esther Perel is coming to the table. She's going to be at the red table. Would you say she has been instrumental in you and I redefining our relationship?
I would say don't just start filming me without asking me
Oh my goodness.
if you could film me.
Esther, come help us again, please. I'm still dealing with foolishness.
No, because she don't just.
Would you say that she helped
He politely
us
asked,
heal
"Could you not
the
film me
hurts that
without
we
asking
caused
me
each
first?"
Also, that's kind of a
My
bitch move
social
too.
media presence is my bread and butter, okay?
It's
So you
my
can't
bread
just
and
use
butter.
me for social media and not, don't just start I'm standing in my house. Don't just start
He's such a
rolling.
diva, dude.
I don't think so.
Please
like,
watch
it's my bread and butter.
Esther
That's all.
at the red
Here's
table
what it is.
because she's helped
Jada
us
has
a lot.
never been
Can't you
shit.
tell?
She ain't never going to be shit. But she's married to the shit.
Dude, I'm pretty sure she was in The Nutty Professor with Eddie Murphy, so not your P's and Q's.
Like I said, she ain't never been shit. So
Pull up Jada's filmography
she is
while I give my
absolutely.
take on this.
She is absolutely that. Like, my husband's famous, therefore I'm awesome.
Here's what I think.
So she's obviously doing exactly what he's complaining about, using him to like try to build her clout, and that's all he's upset about. He's like, can you not? First of all, she's talking about their personal life. He already let her do that once at that stupid red table bullshit she does that no one fucking likes, and is just using him to try to make herself popular, but no one gives a fuck about her, and it eats her alive. So she tries to bring Will down. Also, I don't understand what the obsession with this bitch is. She's fugly, dude. I wouldn't fuck her with your dick, and I don't even like your dick.
I thought she was pretty bad back in the day. I'm not gonna lie.
I've never thought she was attractive. May lean into your suspicions about Will, but I've always thought she had very manly face features. She's got a
Scroll
very
down.
strong jawline.
Yeah, she was in The Nutty Professor. Yeah, she's Miss Purdy. Scroll down into the filmography there. But anyways, here's my suspicion, right? So I didn't know that Will Smith was a Scientologist. And Scientology is...
I didn't know that either, and don't know that that's still true.
No, he is.
I don't know that that's true.
For sure, right?
Is
that
think
true?
I think that's a...
We'll look at this after. Okay, scroll down to filmography. Scroll.
does it matter?
Scroll. I just want to see what she's done.
Nothing.
Because we said she ain't done shit. I'm like, I feel like she's been in a lot.
No. She's been in a bunch of music videos. I know that.
She's been in a bunch of... Here we go. Menace to Society, Nutty Professor, Scream 2.
Nutty Professor being the most popular thing on any of that. Ali, wonder how she got in that.
Ali, The Matrix Reloaded, The
Wonder how she
Matrix
got in that.
Revolutions,
Wonder how she got in that.
Madagascar. She's done some A-list movies.
Yeah, as a fucking
Men in Black
background bitch.
3. Yeah, probably.
Also,
Magic Mike XXL as Rome.
yeah. Whatever. Fuck that cunt, dude.
Look up Will Smith
She is a
Scientology.
toxic-
See if he's a Scientologist.
Toxic bitch who has ruined Will's life.
If he's a Scientologist, which this is my whole suspicion.
I don't think that that's true.
Yeah. I think he is. Yes.
Truth behind resurfaced rumors. He does too much stuff on his social media talking about God and faith and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Scientologists don't believe in that, right? That neither the actor nor his actress wife are currently Scientologists.
Fast, it was alleged that he had opened the Scientology school. Well, damn. Okay. My thought process is I think Will doesn't want to get divorced.
You just be saying shit.
I said it depends on
Well,
this.
see, here's the thing. Will's a Scientologist. I'm like, I don't think that's true.
Well, I said, well, look it up.
You would have went the rest of your life assuming he was.
Yeah, fuck him. You remember how great life used to be before Google and you just had to go on suspicions and shit?
Also, I don't want to be...
Can I give my fucking take?
No, I don't. I
Goddamn.
don't want to be. I don't want to be associated with someone who talks shit about religion. Like, if you want to be a Scientologist, no, fuck them. I was just kidding. Fucking
So,
psychos. Go ahead.
I think that Will Smith is a very deeply closeted man. And I think he doesn't want to be divorced from his woman. I think it's just like, I thought it was Scientology or whatever it is that's told him where he has to be with this woman and he just wants to go and be gay and be free, but he can't. So he's mentally like, just in a bad place, and she's in the same spot because she married this dude for the wrong reasons, and they're stuck together, and it's super toxic and whatever. But because they've gotten to this point where they're just like super famous people, untouchable people, they think they can go along through life and do whatever the fuck they want without consequences. And the one thing I have heard about the whole Will Smith slap incident that at first I was like, that's blown out of proportion, when they said it's going to invite regular people to start slapping comedians when they don't like. I didn't think that was true. It's already happened 3 times to a high level. T.I., our old buddy T.I. is back at it. He snatched the mic out of some dude's hand at an open mic because he didn't like what he said. Yeah. And there's a video of a lady who gets up in a guy's face and smacks the stand out of his hand because he was making a joke about lesbians and she didn't like it.
I don't think that's going to be a problem.
I don't either.
Yeah, I mean
that one and the whole, like you said. Will was it Seth? Not Seth Rogen, the director who did all those movies. Judd Apatow was the one that said, he was like, Will Smith could have killed him. That whole thing.
Okay. We saw how hard Will Smith slaps.
Yeah.
Come on.
Calm it down now.
He couldn't even take care of the alien race. He had to send somebody else up there.
So what's your reasoning for why they did it then? Just
Will's fucked up in the head, dude. That's 100% what it is.
So why does he stay with Jada if it's like...
honest to God,
I thought it was like his Scientology religion that said he had to stay with him.
No, she has mental warfared him into that position. Jada would not have gotten any of those roles if it weren't for her being married to Will Smith. Will turned down The Matrix, and then he was like, but who you could get. Like none of that shit would have happened without Will, and she has gotten accustomed to this lifestyle of being married to Mr. 1990s blockbuster and cannot fathom the idea of being on her own. Now, she's still a fucking hoe, so she wants to bang a bunch of other dudes. So she mental warfares Will into being okay with this open marriage or whatever. But, you can't tell me that Will is doing it just as a cover-up. How many fucking women in the world would be happy to throw their pussy on Will and lie for eternity for the millions of dollars he's offering? And it's not because he's super in love with her and can't get laid somewhere else, because how much pussy is he dripping in every time he steps out of a car? There's no reason other than the fact that she has fucked him up in the head. And he has always been, especially as a teenager, starting as the Fresh Prince and getting all the way up to the point where he married Jada, he was always Mr. Happy, never had any mental...
I don't curse in my raps, but there's keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
Yeah, all that shit. She has absolutely changed who he is. And it's because of shit like that. We see one clip where she's putting a camera in Will's face. He's like, could you not do that without asking me? That's the one time that it surfaced.
But his reasoning wasn't like, hey, I'm trying to be private right now. Hey, I don't really want to deal with that right now.
That's exactly what he said.
No, he said, my social media is my bread and butter.
You didn't listen to the rest of it.
What else
my social media presence is my bread and butter, and I'm trying not to be filmed right now. I'm in my own house. I want to relax. Mm-hmm. That was the whole thing. He's like, I have no problem. I don't want you putting me on there when I'm not ready to be on there. It's just, he's obviously in his Facebook posts, his Instagram posts, all that shit. He's playing a persona. That's not who he is every day. It can't be. No one can be that guy 24/7. So all he's asking from her is could you not until I'm cool being on camera? It's the same thing as anything else. If you were wildly famous and Kayla busted in the bathroom and was filming you taking a shit, you'd be like, hey, this is not great for me. Could you not right now? I think that's how many times a day. How many times a day you think she puts that fucking cell phone in his face to try to get a bunch of likes on Instagram?
How many times a day do you think celebrities see each other?
Well, that's when he started his YouTube channel. Of course, I was the first subscriber. But when he started his YouTube channel, that was one of the things he talked about is he really likes the fact that despite all of their schedules being crazy, his home life is very much regular. Sure, it's in a mansion, but they spend a lot of time together. His kids are always there. They're always having dinner together. Despite their crazy schedule, he really enjoys the family lifestyle that he's trying to put together. So I believe it's almost normal, but as normal as it can be for what they do. But dude, she is a fucking toxic bitch. She has ruined that man. And that's no excuse for him to slap Chris Rock. First of all, if you're that upset, and the other thing that pisses me off is he was laughing at the joke till he looked over and saw, and he's like, "Oh, this is about to be some bullshit."
Then everybody's like, "Well, Jada must have told him that she wasn't happy with it," but Jada said she wished he wouldn't have done it.
After
the fact.
Yeah, 2
So
weeks
now, like,
after she initially said it's a time for healing and I support Will no matter what, and then everyone was like, yeah, but Will's kind of on the back end of this. Like, everyone's not looking at him super favorably right now. Like, it's leaning towards Chris's side. She's like, he shouldn't have done it then. Like, she is such a slimy fucking bitch.
You know what kills me? I don't, like, who could I smack ever in a lifetime that would get this kind of attention? Dude?
Oh, yeah.
I go smack my grandma 47 times and I might get 12 likes on the most fucked up Reddit page, but I'm not getting like Jim. They retired Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey said he's hanging it up. He doesn't want to do it anymore because of this shit.
Jim Carrey lost his fucking mind a decade ago,
Yeah.
and this was the thing where he was
Like, nope, I can't do it. Nope.
Wow.
And I love his take on it too. He's just like, we're not the cool kids in Hollywood anymore. I'm like, well, yeah, you think?
Yeah.
Like, nobody even knew the Oscars were happening that night until they found out some shit went down.
That's the thing that does blow my mind a little bit about it is he went on to win.
Oh my God. And then Jada, like, this is a little out there, but Jada threw a fit and they wanted to boycott the Oscars because Will didn't get nominated one year and now he's not fucking allowed back for a decade. Like, and then Jaden's son's like, this is how we handle business. I'm like, I wish you would slap somebody and see him. I would pay good money to see that happen.
You think like we used to do in the trailer hood back home, you think that like Chris Rock's kids are now going up to Will's kids and being like, my daddy could beat your daddy. No,
Yeah.
your daddy tried and he couldn't even hurt my daddy.
My daddy fucked your mommy and your daddy sat in the corner and jacked off.
That is the funniest thing I've seen out of all of this is it's like, okay, now we know the boundaries. You can make his wife come, fine. Make her cry, not acceptable.
Not acceptable.
What a fucking dude, he's a cuck bitch now. I have nothing for
Oh,
Will
the
Smith
memes
anymore.
are so hilarious.
Fuck
though.
Will Smith, dude. He's a
memes-
punk bitch now. I don't want anything to
Oh,
do with him
memes are so
anymore.
funny.
And it hurts me the most because I loved him undyingly.
And he was so motivational with all his posts. I'm like,
Dude, he was my shit, but like that it has less to do with the fact that he hit another, like, you know, whose dad hasn't got drunk and slapped someone? Fucking come on. It's more to do with the fact that one, even afterwards, he didn't apologize to Chris. He apologized to the Academy.
and then he blamed it on God. He's
Yeah.
like, God, it's calling me to be
Making me
a
be a
fierce
defender."
protector. I'm like, what?
Of what? A skinhead fucking ugly wife of yours? I hope her hair falls out everywhere. She turns into one of those fucking skinwalkers from The Descent. Cunt. Anyway, the thing that upsets me the most is that he let his toxic ass bitch wife influence him to the point where that was an acceptable thing. He's like, oh, she's mad. I got to go take care of this and slap another celebrity on live international television. What a fucking cuck.
You know what's crazy to me is like I'm a fierce protector. I'm like, you pretend for a living. Like, it blows my mind that we think that rappers and actors are these tough people because of their personas.
Which rappers used to be.
No,
when
Will
rap
Smith was a
started.
rapper
No,
when
I'm
it
talking about
started.
when rap started. Like
Getting jiggy with it.
Tupac fucked your shit up. You know. Like,
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, they had guns.
Actual gangster.
Stuff. Well, that was the gangster rap. But I mean, like, most people think that rappers are hard. And I'm like, you mean the people that rhyme, care about fashion, and have purses? Like, what do you do with all that money you got? I buy jewelry. I'm like, what?
Jewelry.
I buy all this jewelry and these purses. Well, it's a man bag, crossbody. And I'm really into fashion. And I guess I'm, not that tough. And the same thing with these actors. It's like, he's not that tough. Like, he plays this tough guy on TV, but somebody makes one little joke to his wife and he has to get up and slap them.
It's a joke, man. Joke's over everything. It's a fucking joke. Like, what would have happened if he'd been there the year that they boycotted and Ricky Gervais was doing that shit? Or no, who was it? Was it Ricky Gervais? No, it was fucking the Australian.
It was Ricky. Ricky Gervais did the Golden Globes where he roasted everybody.
Jim Jeffries?
No, Ricky Gervais did it.
Okay.
Where he roasted everybody.
And he went fucking...
He's like, I don't care. I don't care. And he just started making fun of everybody.
He went so fucking hard, he would have never made it through that night.
Well, that's like, even at our club, we talk about like people, they'll shit on us and they'll be kind of rude with their insults and stuff. I'm like, okay, well, you walked in here. This is Thunderdome as far as I'm concerned. It's like, you come in here, you better be prepared. You better have some thick skin.
Yeah. Well, that's the
And you're
other
sitting
thing. It
front row-
wasn't even that bad of a joke, dude. It wasn't even blue.
But even if if you're sitting front row at the Oscars and there's one of the most famous comedians of all time and his job is to roast people and you're sitting front fucking row, better have some thick skin.
Yeah, it's coming. And it wasn't even that offensive.
But even in life, like what happened to
if he was
like
gonna
when we
make a
could...
good joke, it would have been about her getting porked by the pool boy.
Yeah.
Or, she's out here looking for her next man. Too bad Jaden's friends aren't here. Some shit like that. The fact that he made a simple hair joke based on a recent Instagram post where she said she was going to own this thing, that was like the
and had a reference
safest
to
joke he could have made.
A movie that was 20-some years old.
Yeah. So he was like, it was a G.I. Jane joke, Will. Like, fuck, it wasn't even a good joke, dude.
I don't know. I just wish, like, I don't get offended that easily. And
I
I'm
don't
like,
either.
I know it's like become like this thing where it's like, we shouldn't be getting offended. And I don't mean it like I want to die on some horse and I need to convert people to not getting offended. I'm like, I just wish people didn't care so goddamn much. Like, stop taking yourself so seriously. Even if he did make fun of him, like, who cares? At the end of the day, you guys are still millionaires.
Yeah.
And like, also, everything that you've ever done with your entire life is now overshadowed and undone by one thing that happened over a few seconds.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to end his career or anything. I think it'll be forgotten about and moved on from.
That's the other thing that made me think conspiracy, because it's like...
Louis C.K. won. Louis C.K. won a...
Grammy?
Yep. And, I mean, he fought back from way worse than slapping Chris Rock.
Not really. Arguably.
Well, I mean,
he got canceled very hard.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, at least on this, people can divide. It's like, yeah, I support Will, I support Chris. Like, no one supports Louis C.K. and what he did. I personally don't think it was that big a deal.
Yeah.
He has permission. I mean, what else are you supposed to do? Get it in writing? But
if they all said yes, then I don't have a problem with it at all. Can I jerk off in front of you? Yes. All right.
Now, is it a super creepy, weird old man thing to do? Sure. But, like, that's not important. The important thing is everyone
I could talk about that for like another, like, what is that kink all about? It's like, I just really want to watch me touch myself.
Like, the appeal to all sexual activity for me is I don't have to do nothing.
Yeah.
I'm fucking lazy. Like,
I'm used to touching myself.
Yeah,
like, I'd rather someone else do it.
If I got someone else in the room, why am I going to do all the work?
But it's also like, I want you to get naked so I have something to see while I touch myself. It's like, no, I want to watch you watch me touch myself. I'm like, that's the weirdest thing ever.
Hey,
like, and like, I know, like, it's probably uncomfortable to watch me having sex, but like, imagine me touching myself, just like some underbit and just like growling, like, just one arm moving more than the other one.
Hey man, you want to come over and play ping pong? Well, you're not going to play. I'm going to flip it up Forrest Gump style and just fucking bat it against the wall. But I need you in the room because I don't perform unless I have someone else there.
But also, I'm going to be standing kind of in one spot, and then my legs are going to tense up a little bit, and then one arm's going to be moving a little bit more than the other arm. And I do have an underbite. I'm not lying about that. It's weird. I'm just like, I go full Down syndrome mode.
But anyway, Louis fought back. So a year from now, no one will be thinking about the Chris Rock slap. I don't think. I don't know.
All right. So that was the end of this episode. That was our breakdown of Will Smith. I'm sure you guys have heard it to death. Let us know in the comments what you thought about it. Do you agree with our take? Do you have something different? We'd love to hear from you. Let us know in the comments. And like I said, somebody told me they don't think I've got 20. Well, I'm getting ready to do a 20-minute spot, so we will find out if they are right. So stay tuned for next episode. I think that's it. You got anything else?
No. Will, you're a punk bitch. Come fight me. Jada, fuck off.
She's still bad and a nutty professor.
Nah, fuck that.
Anyways, guys, that's it for us. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Hit the like button, subscribe if you aren't already. And other than that, we will catch you on the next one. Bye.
Adios.
Let's be clear about this, guys. We're not going to agree on everything.
I'm new in town.
How was your day? How the fuck was your day? I'm the machine!
You might be a redneck. A bunch of men talking about barbecue grills.
Animals must think we're idiots. We're idiots.
Yeah.
Haters, since you love me so much.
What's the deal with airplane peanuts?
What I would suggest is just start.
You just let it play.
Wookie Wama.